Welcome to Immigrate. Welcome to a space where you can be vulnerable, a space where you're not going to be judged, a space where you can be authentic. And my hope and desire is to inspire and motivate everyone that click onto this podcast. So welcome to another episode of Immigrate. So, welcome to another great episode of Immigrate. I'm so excited for my wonderful guest today to come on here and just talk with me again with another interview. And it's going to be a great episode. So, welcome, Noon, for this interview today.
Thank you, Tasha, for having me. And it's a happy Monday here in Texas, and you're in Canada. So look at how the worlds and the universe brought us together. My name is Dr. Nhu Truong, and I'm so blessed to have you guys in the room with us.
Yes, and having them listening to us is going to be a really good interview. So, tell me about yourself. Who is this wonderful person?
So I came to the U.S. Our family immigrated here when I was about 9 years old. We came to the U.S. and the first state that we stayed was in Georgia, in the state of Georgia. Um, I went to school after finishing my undergraduate, and I went to Massachusetts to went to my doctorate degree. I have a doctorate degree in pharmacy, so that's where I graduate. And after that, I came to Texas, and that is where I'm at right now. But the journey of coming over to the U.S., has been very challenging because we have to, leave everything behind. We, left our family, friends, and, nothing but just pretty much a set of clothes, right? No money, no family, no friends, no cultures, nothing. Everything is new in the new land. But then also is, my parents chose to leave the country, even though everything is settled in Vietnam. But they left it for the freedom for the kids, for our, for us, for their kids. So we're very blessed to came over, the land of opportunities, land of freedom of speech, in the countries that are in the communist country, I mean, most people can understand a lot of regulation and things. Nothing is yours, and here you're able to build something that you can leave a legacy. Not only that, but it's just but then again, I see people who have lots of opportunity, and they don't do anything. So that's why I think one of the thing I feel like maybe people can see that it does not need to, you don't need to have money. You don't need to have a lot. You don't need to be, come from golden, like spoon fed you, everything giving to you, and then you'll be succeed and you make it there or you make an impact. I really want, people to know that lots of people who start out with nothing can, work their way, really work hard, stay into your true passion, and everything will work out.
That's so true. And it doesn't matter where you come from. I always say that. That doesn't determine where you're going. So what age? Do you remember what age you moved with your family? How
Yes,
old
I was 9 years old.
you were 9? Do you remember any? Okay, share your experience with the entire family. Like, how do you think it impacted your family moving there to
Mm.
Texas?
So it's very lonely, right? The process of moving to a strange country. Not only we were poor, we live, we were lucky to have the United States sponsor us because my father was a captain of a military police, during the Vietnam War, on the American side. But, sponsorship is not a free ride to the U.S., but we have to pay back the airplane tickets and whatnot. But we still have an opportunity to came over. And now this is the country of what I call my home, even though Vietnam is where, I was born. But, I'm blessed and I'm grateful for. And so I am. the things that I reflect back on the things that we have to gone through, like, having nothing, no money, no family. I remember even a simple thing is sitting down on the floor, right? When we first came to a very old apartment, I remember vividly, just a simple meal, and you sit down on like, how they have chicken, and back then it was, but it was one of those things, a simple meal that a lot of people are not really grateful for what they have. But just for us to live in a home that, even though it wasn't ours, it's just the feeling of, oh my goodness, look at all these things that we have, and it's so small. It was, that those are the things I think it's just, it shows you what the world and what we need to kind of come down back to earth is like, to appreciate the things that we have, because of what we don't have. Even the food, the water, the shelter, not many people have that. And so when we came over and having um that struggle of not having the money, we get being made fun of when I went to school. Kids would, kind of like, because I didn't know English, I had to learn literally. My father did, try to teach me, but because we were put into school right away when we first came, so it's like you being thrown in there. Just imagine, we didn't know like another language, like if we didn't know Spanish, let's say, and we're thrown in there with all the native speakers. It's
Right.
overwhelming, and it's
It is. Yeah.
being nitpicked, yeah. And you have to learn word for word. A simple assignment that will take someone 30 minutes for me, it will take me 3-4 hours. So just imagine those kind of struggles, and being, the new kid on the block. Your language is new. The clothing and all. It's like you poor, right? People get judged and you get nitpicked on. But for some reason, I reflect. It's like it makes us okay because the family, we have the loving family. Our cultures, like, you know, my mother and father was very loving, and to have that loving kindness. And even though they were poor and we were poor, we still want to give, my parents give to the less fortunate, or the people back home who, you know, my father will pick up, like the recycle can, that people throw in the trash, and you will recycle. And that recycle is however many cents, and you put it into a recycle bin. That money he sent home for his mom, his sisters who are sick and ill, who are less fortunate, even though we don't have the privilege. But it's those kind of heart that kind of made an impact, a lasting impact on what we can do. It's not just what we have as a money financial, but it's what we do, our words, our actions, everything. And I feel like that made me who I am, because, I see, but unfortunately, my father passed away in about over a year when we first came to the United States. So that was devastating for my mom. So my father passed away with cancer. And so after, she had to raise 4 kids. I'm the third one. I'm next to the baby, but for her, in our culture, when we first came in, just imagine the struggle, because my father was the one who took care of all the bills. He was the one driving, and her to work. She was a teacher in Vietnam, but when she came over the U.S., she had to start everything over. She became, working as they call it like a Delta, at the Delta airline, serving food, prepping food. So, those, it's the humble experience of, even if you were somebody, they're willing to give it all, and to come and start out with nothing, for the happiness and the freedom of for the kids. And so, I see my mother after my father passed away. My father was a loving husband to my mom, and she stayed widowed to this day. She never remarried. She said that if it wasn't for us, yeah, she said that. And my father passed away when he's about 47 years old. So he was very young. 47 is not old at all, you know. And just I can't imagine, having, because I have 2 kids now. And for me, looking back at how strong my mother was, for her to keep going, have the willpower because of her kid. She said that if it wasn't for us, she would have followed my father, because she said, why would she, it was her everything, because she have nobody, right? Having a partner and you have no family, your family's all back home, no friends, no family. So for her to lose, her spouse, a loving husband, the one that she leaned on, she was like, why can't you stay and let me pass away? This is her words, because she was very fragile. She's saying, my father is, he's 6 foot, he's much bigger, she's so petite, and everything is like, he's the one that the community, if there was somebody, he will be the one doing the volunteer work. If there was a funeral, there's something, he's always there. He's into sport, he speaks 3 different languages, English, French and Vietnamese. So he was that, and mom said, why do, someone who's so good, you get taken away from. But I think at the time, everything, when you in the moment, everything seems so black, right? But once I see that, her willpower to work so hard, and she's so selfless, and I think that to to some degree, it's like she kind of forget to take care of herself, and now she's so thin, she have osteoporosis, things that are, but she still this day, even if she's not so well, she doesn't move as fast, but she's a mover. She's never sit still, because she want to help. She want to help her kids, her grandkids. Now all of her kids are grown, but she's still that nurturing, loving, forgiving, sweet, kind, never harm anybody, never say anything bad. It's just one of those that's like, it's a reflection of, no matter how much struggle, it makes you who you are because of your family. And it's a lot of teary moment, because I know during my pharmacy school, I got news that my mother had cancer, right? And when I find out, it was a striking moment, because I had to go to school away from home. That was my first time away from home, and that was very difficult for me. And then also, my sister got into a car accident that family didn't let me know. It was one of those that life flight flew her, and to the point that they're preparing, like, get ready for the worst, meaning like she's in a coma. But her friend is the one who called me and asked me how she doing. And so that was, I was like, what do you mean, how's she doing? She's fine, right? And then so she was like, no, I heard she was so and so. And that was my first time hearing. But because family know how stressful, I was in an accelerated program, 3 years, no nonstop, to push myself so I can get it done faster. And it was one of those moments. I was like, it's like emotionally you can't put yourself continue on, right? But I was like, because family made so much sacrifices, and if I fail, if I don't do this, what would happen? I already took in a lot of loans. We go to school, we take so much loan out, and it's just one of those moments like, there's no way, there's no way, there's no turning back. So you have to do it. And it's just a lot of things. When I reflect, I don't know how I can endure it, but I think it's because of the people in my life. My godfather, who was I met during my middle school, he saw that I was like having, in our culture, when our father passed away, we kind of like in a mourning, grieving period. And I was always the kid who never ate lunch, right? I studied during lunch. Because of my weakness, I always put the time and effort in to make sure that I either on top of it, or at least up to par, so that way I'm not behind. But it takes many nights of just staying up, doing the work. And as a kid, I was blessed to not get in trouble, like, hang out with the wrong kids. I do, we all have moments who we're like, we don't want to listen to our parents, but at the end, their parents know what's best for us. And so, sometimes it's those, I think being the immigrant kid is, I think we want to fit in, but then we also are torn with our roots and who we are, our values. Because ever since I was little, And growing up, I always have this thought of thinking, because I was always the oddball, right? When I was little, I never ate meat. Like in our family, when you're poor, back home, or even when we came to the U.S., it's like when you eat meat is like lots of people eat meat. It's a blessing, and it's like you're able to afford meats and so and so. But even when back home when we were poor, and parents will make meal, I was always the one who kind of nitpick out of it and eat what's not the meat. It didn't have any texture to me. I was like, I don't like it. I tried to pick it out. I was picky. And the funny thing is, when I was little, drinking medicine was horrible, right? I always put a pill in, I couldn't swallow. But ironically, how the struggles and things in your life. Now I'm a pharmacist, right? I have a doctorate degree in pharmacy. I understand the challenges. I understand what people go through. It's like you can relate to people and you can help people, and it's a lot of things that, in all my circle of friends, I have diversity. My wedding, I have diversity. I have white, I have, black, I have different color skin. And I never see a skin color as different. I never project it as someone else's. I always love that connection. Because I treat them and I see it as family, even though we weren't born as the same father and mother, but we all one. And I think because we have that, and I see that what the world is so horrible, and you see on the news and things happen personally, it's like we need to do better on bridging that gap, right? And the immigrant, as far as on us, it's like we need to help those who are less fortunate than us to be the inspiration and empower others to strive to do more, to dream more, and don't go ahead.
Sorry to cut you, but with all that, right? And I know when you were touching on your story, it's very thank you for sharing that story, and thank you for being so vulnerable, right? Because it's not easy to reflect as a 9-year old thinking about all those things, and a year after you guys moved, and it's like, okay, my family finally reached somewhere, then your dad died. It
Mm-hmm.
must be a real but horrible experience for you as a kid. What do you think was the most complex then? Is it the loss of your father, or just the fact that your mom had to now raise the four children on her own? What do you think was the most, as a little kid, looking back as an adult now, what do you think was the most complex of all this the situation?
Do you mean now looking back, as in,
On your
that what
story.
made my strength? What made my strength push forward? I think
No, no,
it's
no, not strength. Like in the experience, what was the most difficult?
difficult. I think
Yeah.
it's losing my father, because my father was the glue, right? The strong bone of the family. And every time we have an event, like I was in a band, I was in a marching band, I had awards, but my mother was busy working. So my father wasn't around. Oh, well, he passed away, or like events that have father, daughter. It's always a challenge. I think that has always been kind of a challenge for me. More, and I see that because also I see that losing my father, and then my mother have to pick up being the man of the house and being the you know and so I see that, and I love her for it. And but also at the same time, I see that the things that I guess as a kid I didn't really have a normal kid, like meaning, when we have, now with my kids, when they have an event or like ceremony, or if they have things, I want to make sure I show up for, because I didn't have that. So those are things that, I want to make sure that they understand that I'm rooting and I'm here. Even though I think for me, what gets me maybe is spiritually, I know that deep down, I'm more grounded for that reason. I didn't have the awakening really spiritually tie that really deep down. Then when recently during the pandemic, my nephew passed away, he commits suicide. So yeah, it's I think one of the tipping point for me. Prior to that, I was, as a healthcare professional, I a working mom, always, like my career was up high. I was having titles and do things that are what people see as, wow, you successful. But I kind of led a life that kind of burn yourself out because you put yourself last. You do everything for everybody to the point that I was admitted to the hospital to the point that I had sepsis, to the infection, to a point that I endured my body to the point that, like, you couldn't tell me, oh, you need to be seen, until the family had to call an ambulance on me. And luckily, that moment of calling saved my life. And then after that, my nephew passed away, because my nephew is like, I feel like it's like part of my kid, even though I didn't give birth. The reason is that we always took with us, like on vacation, me and my husband, we take them around because their parents are busy working, and we take them vacation everywhere we go before we had our own kids. So it really took a toll to me personally, because and it happened to be on my birthday month, November. And then it's one of those, like, it's like the survival guilt is so real. We always kind of like, what could we have done? What should I have done? And all of us go through that. And then sometime after we lose a loved one, sometimes when you be walking, you see somebody look like him. You're like, is that Timon? Or it looked like Timon. My son, even to this day, he said, Mommy, I'm so sad that Timon's not here with us. And he always questioned. He said, why did he die? And he's so young. I I don't want to expose him to that yet. Whenever he get older, to understand. But all I said was he got sick, and which is a form of sickness. So I said, he was ill, he was sick, so that's why he passed away. But it's I think it makes you realize a lot of things, is that no matter what, it's I don't know, out of a tragedy, I don't know what other people, but I feel like out of a tragedy, you um, seek like a solution and help, right? So I would seek things that will help you kind of stay sanity, because through it all, you know, everybody is already having to deal with the loss of my nephew. So I internally, I want to present myself like, with a face of, I'm strong, I can endure this, and I'm okay. To the moment, I think one day I was washing dishes, and I broke down and cried, and and like, literally it just hurt. It pound you. It's like, there got to be more. And I always, question, because when I was little, I was like, are we just here in this life? We're born, we go to school, we go to college, we have family, whether we have kids or not, we get older, grandkids, and then we die. Is that really a purpose of our, just this whole vicious cycle? And I was little, but in my head, I always have that. And, spiritually, I love going to temple, and, but for some reason during this pandemic, I met my, like, a guru, my teacher. He's overseas, he's in India. Um, but Master Lama Nawang Kung Phao, he is one of the most loving, kind, compassionate, and even though, I don't know if you ever seen or you have that connection, but even if you fall apart that over across the world, but you feel connected, you feel like it's that he understands you, even if you don't need to talk. And so for that moment, we pray, we have service, grief, and all, and prayers for him. But then not only for Timon of my nephew loss, after his loss, but it's just a transformation that I see through having a teacher who guide me to kind of deep, kind of search your inner, like, works, like, And it wasn't like he asked, or it's just something that through meditation, through prayers, right? And all of us, no matter if you are believe in God or Buddhist or different form, but when you actually pray with your whole heart and sincere, that you pray for the goodness and wellness for all being, and that only, the people who are meant to be for you to serve and guide, to help people, you want to be there. And when you have that convictions and that heart to serve, and you align, and even if, and the practical thing, when I really want to kind of devote myself more to spiritual, in deep spirituality, and my master say it's not just about that. It's okay, meaning I can still do it and implement within my daily life. I was able to take things that what he teach and taught on my daily life, meaning to implement it, right? It's not just about going to church or temple and we pray and we do scriptures and things, but it actually applies to your life, your own life. So that way your well-being, your mental, when you change, other people will change. And it's one of those, and it just made you change. It doesn't matter if other people don't change, but now the same scenario, you see the goodness in all. And so it became,
It does impact you because, with all that, you're such a strong person now. And I think that change and that experience impact you as an individual. And the more we, as you say, it doesn't matter if we go in a temple or a church, the more we pray or whatever we do, when we connect to something that's positive, our outward appearance will reflect that. Or inward, then, like, you just start feeling better. And then once you start feeling better, you start doing things that's better. So as you're reflecting and you're sharing your story, how do you think your young self, like that 9-year-old, feel right now? Like, do you think that 9-year-old is proud of who you have become?
mm, I think so. I, we still working on, every day, we're our worst, and, critics of trying to say, are we good enough for ourselves? But I think for, reflecting back, knowing that, you know, starting from zero, starting nothing, and to study and working hard, having the right mentors and people who guide you, and all the teachers and loving people, and you draw to the positive, even though throughout the triumphs and all the bad things that happen, and you question, say, why these people die, why this so and so happened to me, to my family, or to your friends. It question, but then it makes you gather your strength to be more vocal. Like, for me to go out and talk about my life, like Tasha said, to be open up, to being vulnerable, to tell stories. That's like seeking judgment, right? People can judge you no matter what. But
Yeah.
the thing that you want to get the messages, there are more people that you want to serve and people that need your help. It doesn't matter all the noises and the negativity and the naysay, but you have a mission, you have a purpose. And so for me, I think letting a life at looking back, I think, it's saying yes, just continue working, and and really stay true to your purpose and your calling, and find out what you do, what would you like to do. Let's say that you don't get paid for, and you still can continue, like, right? And you have a happiness and joy of doing and helping others. That's where your success will be, your true success. Because even if you make tons of money, but internally, mentally, and your well-being, if you're not happy, you live with a tons of money, what would that do, right? You have to seek some kind of reflection on yourself. Where are you now? What can you do to make yourself better? Don't compare yourself to others, and always work toward serving others. How can you make an impact so you help others out? Whether it's not just financial, it could be a words of encouragement that you are more, you are meant for more. Nobody, don't let anybody tell you, oh, you're Asian, you're black, you're Hispanic, or you whatever it is, you're short, you're fat, or whatever. Like people will always label us, right? Oh, you Chinese, you chinky eyes, you whatever it is. It's just their perception, their ignorance, and they haven't gotten to learn about you. But if they are open mind and willing to learn, we are all one. We are truly one. We love one another. If we reach out and really love and have that true loving kindness, it will change people's lives. You will make a difference.
I love how you touch and you start, because that was my next question. I was like, how can you in share an experience, not experience, but encourage someone today? But you already started doing that, and I just want to thank you again for being so vulnerable and so authentic and just so natural, sharing your story. Because I know it's not easy for you to just meet Tasha a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago and just being so open and authentic with my guests, my listeners. So as we're wrapping up and we're eating, like you already shared so much encouragement to my listeners already. What else do you want to leave with my listeners that are listening and they're wondering, can I really accomplish anything? I know you touch on some of the things, but what else would you want to share with us today?
Well, one thing is because my background with being a pharmacist and a doctor degree in pharmacy, I also want to give out a message is please do not give anyone authority and bypass and not double check on your own health, right? Whatever your prescriptions that you've been given or whatever diagnosis that you've been given, you need to do your own research and
Research.
follow-ups and take that ownership, your health into your hands. Because as a healthcare profession, what I've seen is that when you go to the doctor, even for myself, right, they will go, okay, this is what you have. They can give you a pill. And once you have that pill, let's say for blood pressure, then you're going to have high blood pressure. So this medication will help you lower it. But if you're not conscious and try to really look at how everything as a whole, then you can just be on a vicious cycle. Oh, I have this symptom now. Maybe it's a side effect from the medication. Then the doctor's going to give you another medication for that side effect. So you keep on having that. Then the pill, when you get older, that pill burden, you can have 10 or 20 medication I've seen. But some of them, because they don't have a patient advocacy to really look over their medications, to really help them. So, as a on that side, don't be, what I want people to also is work on the lifestyle changes, right? Holistic effect, prayers work, spirituality, whatever your spirituality, it will help you reduce your stress, your high blood pressures, your heart rate. There's a lot of things in a science that will change your brain, like the neuroplasticity of your brain, if you really seek. And even people say about meditations and mindfulness and all they think it's so complicated, no one can do it, but it's really just deep breath and exhale, like take a inhale, deep breath, uh, and exhale all the negative. Inhale for all the blessing that you have, and then exhale out all the negative. But even if you just practice 1 minute to, you will increase every day or every month, and you'll see that yourself will change and all the things that will come with it. So, always look into the holistic effect of taking care of yourself as a whole. Help not just your physical body, your physical, mental, spiritual. So whole body approach. So I later on I'll share with Tasha that I'm a co-author of a book called Quantum Holistic Healing: Awaken Your Journey. There's 27 practitioners that share their own journey and why they want to spread the holistic wellness to really to make an impact to the world and people, and they can download it for free. But really just be mindful in the moment, show up wherever you're at home, show up at work, show up for your kids, just keep doing reach out to people who believe, be surrounded in the right community that will lift you up and be there for you, surrounded in the right community, and just continue what you're doing because you are already awesome. You are meant for more. You are so wonderful as you are. Just deep down, find that spiritual, and the people who are ahead of you, just ask them for advice. And there's people who are willing to give it. It's not just about money, so stay grounded and stay true to you. Don't change, yourself because of someone else. I've been told I'm so different. I'm the black sheep. I'm so odd. I'm this way and that way. But there's a reason, right? Because we're meant for, and everybody is meant for more. You're meant for something. Just find your calling and your true purpose and live it. And it just, it just I pray that those who come across and that come across us, with me and Tasha or through our podcast, if they need to seek help, come through. I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me, and Tasha will drop, the links on the books and the LinkedIn, and then to just DM me and say, "Oh, I heard you on Tasha podcast. I would like a word of advice, a career advice, business advice. Whatever I'm able to do, I can send you and I referral you. We're all here to lift one another up."
So many people want to help, and there's so many people want to give that advice. You don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to be lonely. I know sometimes pride and all those things come into play, and you don't want to reach out. But once we get past that own judgment in our head and be like, you know what, it's just me thinking that way, no one feels that way, then we're better off. Can you leave so as we're done now and we're almost ending on the interview, what is 3 words that they can say from Dr. Nhu that would something that will go, it's you, 3 words?
For me, I think be kind, have a compassion, loving, kind, and be mindful. Our words and actions.
Yeah, I know. Be kind, be compassionate, be loving, and be mindful. Thank you
Yes.
so much again for this wonderful chat, this wonderful interview today. It was indeed a pleasure having you here. I can't wait for you to come back on the next season and we go deeper and more. As she said, I'll be dropping her book in my description, and for sure her information will be there where you can find her on LinkedIn. You're on Facebook too, so
Yes.
I could, yeah, and if she's okay, or email address where you can reach
Yes.
out to her. And yeah, we're just gonna drop all the information so people can reach you and find you. And thank you so much again for just hanging out with me today. And it was a pleasure having you coming on here. And I'm so grateful to have you.
Thank you, Tasha. And we can't wait to make a next season even more impactful. We got lots to
Yes,
come.
yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.